Good morning, Laura.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Wonderful, thanks.
We
Very
are
good.
going we're gonna get started here in 1 second. Let me get my headphones up and running here.
Great.
Okay, you can hear me just fine?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. I
Wonderful.
can. Sounds great. All right, so we are gonna get started here.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Penn State Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. Where else would you rather be than a Zoom full of Penn Staters? I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association. I want to welcome everyone in. Each week on Coffee Hour, you can expect to hear the voices of Penn Staters talking about what they're passionate about where they want to go, and about how we, the network, can help them get there. That's what you can expect to hear here on Coffee Hour. What you can expect to feel is pride, the power of the Penn State network, and that we are way of life that is part of the DNA of all Penn Staters. We are recording this session and we'll be editing and sharing it with Penn Staters in hopes that they find value in the advice shared and inspiration in the stories of ordinary Penn Staters making an extraordinary impact on the world around them. And today I'm so excited to welcome our guest in. Embrace your journey. Today I'm joined by Laura McKinney, a member of Penn State's class of 2020 and the president of the University Park Undergraduate Association. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
It's great to have you here on the show. And we look forward to talking to you over the next 45 minutes. I have so much I want to get to. And I hope we don't run out of time. But you know, over the history of Penn State, right? Student government has meant a number of different forms, a number of different things to Penn Staters. So for those who might not be familiar with UPUA, walk us through what UPUA is all about.
Yes, so UPUA, the University Park Undergraduate Association, is the undergraduate student government at University Park. We serve all undergraduate students at University Park, and we really aim to advocate for students in a bunch of different realms across student life. So that's the academic experience, enhancing facilities on campus, advocating to our local, federal, and state legislators, and then also improving student life by looking into advocacy efforts like mental health and wellness, sexual violence awareness prevention, student poverty. We are those student voices in the rooms with Penn State administrators advocating for what's happening around campus, and we're kind of the eyes and ears on the ground, getting the pulse of the university, and then advocating to the president of the university, our vice presidents, and saying, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what students need. And we're always trying to be one of the loudest voices in the room to be the biggest supporters of students.
Absolutely. So you came to Penn State, right? And your journey to get involved at Penn State kind of serendipitously landed you at the UPUA office. Talk about how you first got involved with UPUA.
Yeah, so my freshman year, like anybody else, I did not really know what my path was going to be like at Penn State. So I'm originally from South Florida. It's where I am right now. It's where I'm riding out this quarantine. So I moved to Penn State. I did not know anybody. And I just said, hey, let's give it a shot. I fell in love with the College of Communications, and I knew it was a place for me once I toured campus. I actually was not about to go there until I saw the campus itself. And for anybody on this call and anybody who knows, once you get on Penn State's campus, there is a special feeling to it. But once I did get to campus and I did everything that a lot of normal freshmen do, they kind of dip their toe in everything, go to the involvement fair, try every club. I tried rushing a sorority. I tried exploring downtown State College. I did all those things. But then I decided, you know what, I love this place so much. I need to find a way. I have to find a way to give back to it. So it led me to UPUA, the undergraduate student government. And when I went to go sign up, basically, they told me the deadline passed. And I said, oh, gee. And I was, I'm shy. I was a shy freshman. So I walked away and said, okay, I guess it wasn't meant to be. Went back to my dorm, thought about it for a couple more days, and I was like, you know what? Something's telling me I really need to try again. So I emailed them and said, is there any chance, just any chance, that I could maybe have a position in the student government, kind of on this thing called Freshman Council, which is kind of like an internship program for the organization. And they're like, if you can get your application to us by noon, we'll maybe consider you. And I ran from my door with my resume in my hand, and I put it on the desk, and I was like, I'm not going to get it. But they did call me, and they had a phone interview with me that day. And by that night, I was a part of the UPUA. So it was a crazy journey, and just kind of how my Penn State experience is ending very unexpectedly is how it started. And I wouldn't have been where I am now without, pushing it a little bit further and trusting my gut and saying, hey, like, I think there's something for me there. And it was a very unconventional way to go about it, but I'm very grateful for the way it ended up.
Yeah, so let's talk about, and I keep bringing up embrace your journey because that was your campaign slogan, right? So not only were you involved with UPUA, but you rose in the ranks of leadership. So talk about your time as UPUA president, serving as student body president for University Park, and some of the things that you're most proud of.
Yeah, it's really hard to put into words what the past 4 years have really meant to me. But one thing it has taught me is that students really do care about one another. And it's something I kind of wrote about in an Onward State op-ed, but it truly is something remarkable to see that students will come to me and they're like, hey, this group of students need help, this group of students need help, what can you do? And they're not just going in for like selfish purposes. They really want to strengthen the Penn State community. And that's been something remarkable to watch. A lot of things that have kind of come to fruition, I guess, throughout my 4 years have been a lot of advocacy for mental health and wellness, which is definitely something we've seen over the past 4 years really take life and at the Penn State community. A lot of awareness for sexual violence and prevention, that's huge. That's something that definitely got its own wings, and a lot of advocacy efforts gathered around that. And then something that throughout my 2 terms, I guess, as vice president and then president this year, was student poverty. So I'm really grateful that President Barron started a task force on housing and food security. This is an issue that is not only happening at Penn State, but is happening nationally across universities, where students have to decide, hey, am I going to eat today, or am I going to buy a textbook? And that should not be something that students have to worry about. So that's been a huge point of advocacy for us, and seeing all of those types of, I guess, initiatives take form, and for them to take form based off of students' passion for them and passion for helping one another has been something truly remarkable to watch.
Yeah, so this is the Penn State Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. I'm Paul Clifford, and I'm joined by UPUA President Laura McKinney. So Laura, you mentioned earlier you're from Delray, Florida. Tell us your Penn State story. How did you become a Penn Stater?
Yes, so I'm from Delray Beach, Florida. And I did not know anybody that went to Penn State. I did not have family that went to Penn State, but I knew I wanted to kind of start my own legacy there. I've had family that have gone to other Big Ten schools, which they're pretty sad when I didn't go to Indiana University. I do have some good family connections there, but I knew that once I did see the campus and the College of Communications, I knew it was for me. And I'm just so grateful for it.
Yeah. So student body president, you've interned in DC and New York City. You're an award-winning student journalist. You danced at Dawn. You served on alumni council. Thinking back on your time at Penn State and all the amazing experiences that you've had, what's your Penn State moment? Which one stands out?
Oh my, Paul, you're killing me. I would say for me, it has to be the beginning of my senior year. I spoke at the freshman convocation, where I got to welcome in all of the freshmen. I think there was about 9,000 of them coming into the class of 2023. And it was at the beginning of this year. And I remember being in that crowd at my own freshman convocation and watching the student body president address us and thinking, that person, like, how did they get up there? Like, that is crazy that out of all these people at the university, they're speaking to us. Like, how do you even go about getting there? You know, I never thought that that would be me. And so I had that moment of realization when I was giving that convocation speech, and I looked in the crowd exactly where I was sitting just 4 years before. And it was one of those full circle Penn State moments where I was like, the power of Penn State got me to where I am right now, standing behind this podium and addressing these students who I know exactly how they feel. Because not too long ago, I was scared. I didn't know where I was going to get my next sandwich after convocation. That's what I was worried about when I was sitting there. I was like, where's the dining hall? But you know, it came full circle, and I was able to really just be in that moment. That was my Penn State moment where I just got to kind of embrace the past 4 years, and I saw everything kind of flash before my eyes, and it was a deep, deep moment of gratitude for me.
All right, go ahead. I know it's a tight community of UPUA presidents. Who was the president that spoke at your freshman convocation? Give him a shout out.
Yes, Terry Ford. He was larger than life than me. He still is, still one of my biggest inspirations. So I definitely am grateful for that. Shout out Terry Ford.
Oh my gosh, that's got to make Terry feel old now, that he was the UPUA president when you were a freshman.
Yeah.
So let's go back a month or two, right? You stood and danced for 46 hours. You went back to class. You went back to being president of UPUA after that, and then spring break came.
Yeah.
And then somewhere during spring break, you heard the news that that students wouldn't be coming back and that we would be going to remote learning. Talk us through kind of your reaction to that. Were you part of that conversation as UPUA president? Just tell us kind of your whole reaction to that and your involvement with that.
Yeah. So like you said, right before leaving for spring break, I felt so connected and almost the most immersed in my Penn State journey that I've ever felt. And I was looking forward to coming back, especially after dancing in Thon and experiencing just everything. And, you know, after that pep rally that the alumni said, something special. And I knew that. So I went for spring break, and I went home back to Florida, and I brought a couple of my friends back with me, actually, from Penn State. And we were all here having a great time, going out, doing, you know, fun spring break stuff. And, you know, a couple days into spring break, I am starting to get emails and communications that, yeah, it looks like there might be some delays on going back to school. I didn't know the severity of it at the time. But yeah, it kind of evolved, and it hit me that I don't think I am going back to Penn State this year. I'm going to be staying in Florida. And, you know, I was lucky enough to have some Penn State friends here with me as I was making press releases and doing everything I could to inform students about what was happening and trying to keep up with it on a day-by-day basis. And as we all know, everything is changing and continues to change on a day-to-day basis. So it was just getting up every day over spring break, and kind of I was glued to my computer for the second half of it. Just making sure that students were informed. There were so many questions flooding in about, you know, financials and what's going on and my room and board. And I mean, you think of it, like, you name it, that's what students were asking. So it was a really overwhelming time, but I am so, I guess, I was just so honored, and still am, to be in a position to help people while all of this is happening. I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I wasn't in a position where I was able to help people right now. And it's crazy to think, actually, today is UPUA election day, April 15th. The new leadership is going to be elected and sworn in a week from today. So I feel so connected to my position right now, because I've had to be so immersed in it over the past month, especially. And while it was disappointing, of course, personally, not to be able to go back, I know that there really is no other option, and it is the best thing for people to stay home and heal right now, so that we can come together stronger than ever as a Penn State community.
Laura, talk through being student body president and being a leader of over 40,000 students at the University Park campus, right?
Yeah.
There are probably 100 legitimate student issues that students are facing, right? How do you pick those issues that you think you can make a difference on? Like, what do you choose to pursue and work on?
Absolutely. It is a very difficult position to be in a lot of times when there are many opinions, many views. People want what they're passionate about elevated and heard. And that's something that I've struggled with throughout my term, is trying to figure out, how do you give one thing more leverage than another when it's important to my constituents? All of them to me have a place in my heart equally. So it was difficult at times, but what helped me choose those main points of advocacy and initiatives were when I would hear those things more than once. So I would have multiple students coming to me and saying, this needs a bigger platform. And that's when I would take those issues like student poverty and mental health to the next level. Not to say that there weren't some smaller initiatives maybe that didn't need as much advocacy to get off the ground. For example, the professional attire closet in the Bank of America Career Services Center. That is something that UPUA helped get off the ground. And I knew that that was possible by, kind of communicating with the Career Center. And so there was like different levels of advocacy. But for the big ones, it's really what students come to me the most with.
Yeah, in my role, I face those similar kind of issues, right? I mean, you look at one issue and there's not two opinions on it, right? There's 30 different angles that come at it, right? Because we're such a diverse community. And so, yeah, it's I can see it as a challenge of kind of what to focus on and how can you make an impact, right? Because you don't want to focus on something and then not be able to bring it to fruition, right? So yeah, it's certainly a leadership challenge for sure. Thank you everyone for tuning in to Coffee Hour by the Penn State Alumni Association. I'm Paul Clifford. We're talking to Laura McKinney. She is the president of UPUA. So as a student body president, you live a very public life, right? But many people might not know about your work with the Caring House Project Foundation and your work in Haiti. Tell us a little bit about that organization and your annual trips to Haiti.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking. So since I was a freshman in high school, I've been in part of an organization called the Caring House Project Foundation, which since 1998 has built 28 self-sustainable villages in Haiti and some others in some other third world countries like Honduras. And I got involved because it is my family's charity. My parents started it the year I was born in 1998.
Oh, wow.
And I became a part of the executive board when I got to high school. And now that my parents are getting older and they're loosening the reins a little bit on the Caring House Project Foundation, they're handing it over to me slowly. And it's something that I really, really plan to grow and develop into the future. It's already international, but really helping it partner with some bigger organizations like Food for the Poor, American Red Cross, all those things to help make a greater impact. Every year I go to Haiti. I haven't been able to go this year because of COVID-19, and also there's some unrest over there right now, and it hasn't been safe to travel there. But every year I go, and my role for the past 4 years has been to be the director of the communication between the orphanages in the villages that we're building. So I work with the children the closest and communicate with their supervisors over there in Port-au-Prince. And we basically ask, what school supplies do they need? Do they need toys? Do they need clothes? What can we get to them? And then I communicate through my channels and through the Caring House Project Foundation board and all the members and people who donate to it to try to get those resources over to them. And that is what I've been doing for the past couple of years, kind of behind the scenes. It is a huge passion of mine. And I've been really grateful to have great examples in my parents to show me what compassion looks like and what empathy looks like. And I really did take those to my position with student body president. And that's why student poverty was so important to me, because I've seen poverty firsthand. I've stayed in those villages with people for weeks on end and really seen what people have to go through. And I know how good we have it here, right now. And although the world is suffering in a lot of ways, I know that here in the US, many people are lucky and many people aren't. So there's a lot of efforts too being done here nationally through the Caring House Project Foundation to help local soup kitchens get the supplies that they need. And then we're also right now, so I backtrack a little bit, nationally, the Caring House Project Foundation, like I said, is helping the soup kitchen. And then globally, I guess, or more internationally right now, my responsibility within the foundation is to be the point person for Haiti right now, because there is a lot of miscommunication. They don't know what's really happening. They don't have the media that we have here to know what's happening with COVID-19. So I've been working with our entities over there and communicating to our villages and our orphanages how they can stay safe and healthy during this time.
That's wonderful work. You may have just answered this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You're a broadcast journalism major in the Belisario College of Communications. First of all, how am I doing? Am I doing all right?
Yes, you're doing great.
Okay, good. I was really nervous having a broadcast journalism major on here and me being on the other side of the interview. So so that's great. Now my confidence is soaring now. But talk a little bit about where you're going to go after graduation and what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm a broadcast journalism student. And since I was 10 years old, I had this dream of being an anchor on the Today Show or Good Morning America. But as I kind of grew up and grew into who I was as a person, I had more internships, more in the PR realm, public relations realm and marketing, and I loved that. And so I kind of want to leverage the skills I've used through my broadcast journalism degree to kind of grow in that way. Last summer, I worked for the Central Park Conservancy, which runs Central Park in New York City, which I know right now especially has been such a safe haven for so many people in Manhattan right now. And I really love the mission of working towards something that brings recreation, joy, and entertainment to people. I think that the fact that play is so important. People need to have that recreational time, and I would love to be and work for a place like there, or Madison Square Garden, or someone that brings people together and for a place, for a purpose rather of recreation, play, fun, and entertainment. I think the world needs it right now. They're craving it right now, and I know they can't wait to get back to all of that. So to be part of that transition back into that play side of life is something that I really, really hope to do.
All right, so we're going to have a little bit of fun here now, okay? Some of this might be just things that you've culturally learned at Penn State, so I apologize, but you know, here in the Northeast, some of this is back and forth, but I'm just going to, it's what we call the lightning round here. So I'm just going to ask you something and then you pick. So Sheetz or Wawa?
You know, I only know Sheetz because it's downtown State College. We don't have Sheetz or Wawa down here in Florida.
Right.
So I guess Sheetz because that's all I know.
Maybe 7-Eleven, right? 7-Eleven down in Florida? Okay. Your favorite spot on campus?
Oh my. I think my favorite spot on campus has got to be, in front of Old Main, there's 2 flagpoles, and there's kind of a bench that goes around each flagpole. And I like sitting there in the middle of the day and watching people, because you can see everyone, but no one can see you. And you can kind of have your own little moment and just admire Old Main and admire the campus and all the people in it. So I would have to say the flagpole. That's
awesome. TikTok or Snapchat?
I'd have to say Snapchat because I'm not on TikTok yet. I gotta get on it, but I've seen a good amount that have made me laugh over the past month, so I gotta get on TikTok.
Absolutely. Favorite building on campus?
Favorite building, I'm gonna have to say the Carnegie Building, because that was my home, College of Communications, and Dean Hardin and Jamie Perry, my advisor. So many people in there kind of gave birth to me at Penn State and really gave me the wings to fly.
That's great. Okay, favorite pizza place in State College?
I would say Snap Pizza, but I am lactose intolerant, so I don't really eat pizza. But I have had salad at Snap Pizza.
All right, Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
All right, here's a tough one. This one's a little bit political, but Griggs or Heaton?
Oh my gosh! Wow. Okay, Cody Heaton, he gave me the chance to really have my platform, and really he was the first person to believe in me to take a leadership position. So he will always have that. But I could not have gotten through this past year without Jake Griggs. So I think, I don't know, Paul, I can't answer that. I'm sorry. They
There
both.
we go. You straddled the line perfectly. So,
Yeah.
so favorite place to eat on campus?
On campus.
Yeah.
I would say I like East Halls. I had a great time there my freshman year. They just revamped the dining hall
Yeah.
my freshman year, and so I think they have the best food.
That's awesome. Favorite Penn State sport?
Football.
Football. Library or the hub?
The hub.
And your favorite creamery ice cream flavor?
Well, once again, I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't
Oh,
know.
that's right.
But I will say
There's some frozen yogurt, right?
I will say a fun fact. My sophomore year, one of my UPUA initiatives were to get a dairy-free flavor in the creamery, and we got it all the way to a test round, and I was the only person to taste a dairy-free flavor that the creamery made. They ended up not pushing it out because they didn't think they would get enough traction on it, but I did have creamery ice cream once.
Okay. All right. So let's do some word association. So when I say Nittany Lion, what comes to mind?
Zachary Soa.
I think he's tuning in right now too.
Yeah.
So yeah. UPUA.
Compassion.
Thon.
Regina Dusler. and community.
Yeah. FTG.
I think of the legacy of Penn State and all of the people that came before me.
Class of 2020.
Resilient.
And we are.
Penn State, Paul.
Yeah. Laura, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for what the student perspective that you bring to Alumni Council. I'm not sure if you knew that Alumni Council was kind of part of the role of UPUA president, but hopefully it was a pleasant surprise to you and that it's been an experience that you cherish. But I know that we greatly value your voice around that table, 109 people, but we greatly value the student voice that you bring to Alumni Council. And so thank you so much for all you've done for Penn State and all you're going to continue to do. You know, graduation is not the end, but it's just a milepost on your lifelong relationship with Penn State. And so while you might turn and leave the student experience behind, Penn State goes with you.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And thanks for everyone listening.
Absolutely. And thanks everyone for tuning in to Coffee Hour. We will not be doing it on Friday where we have the open forum because we have Alumni Council. So we will be gathering with some of Penn State's top leaders at Alumni Council this Thursday and Friday. But we will be back next Wednesday where our guest is Melanie Maslowski. Melanie is the president of the Blue White Society at Penn State. And so thanks everyone for tuning in. And have a great day. Thanks for all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are
Penn State. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Laura, that was great.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.